Today we are discussing the second ERC report. Now, the topic is delineation of functions. In a federal democracy, the roles and responsibility of various tiers of the government have to be clearly defined. In all federations, this is usually done through a constitutionally mandated scheme. However, in respect of local governments, there are two complications. First, since all local governments subject by defining or definition are also state subjects, there should be clear delineation of roles of the state and the local government in respect of each of the subjects or functions. Otherwise, needless confusion and undue interference by the state will be the inevitable consequences. It must be recognized that in several of these functions, states have a vital and legitimate role to play. For instance, while school education should be a subject of devolution, the framing of the curriculum, setting of standards, and conduct of common examinations should fall within the state purview. Similarly, in healthcare development of protocol, Similarly, in healthcare development of protocol, accreditation of hospitals, and enforcing professional standards should necessarily fall within the state purview and outside the competence of the local governments. Much of the confusion about devolution of functions to local governments has arisen for want of this role clarity between the state and the local bodies. Second, within local government, there is a need for clear functional delineation amongst the various tiers. For example, while school management can be entrusted to a village panchayat or parents committee, most staffing and academic matters would fall within the purview of the higher tiers of local governments. Similarly, while a health sub-center may be looked after by the village panchayat and primary health centers PHC should be managed by the intermediate panchayat and the community health centers and hospitals by the district panchayat. By the same token, there is need to delineate the functions between a city or urban government and the smaller tier of the ward committee. The ward committee can be entrusted with local sub-local functions like street lighting, local sanitation, management of local schools, management of local health centers, etc. Devolution in real terms. The principles of subsidiarity and democratic decentralization cannot be operationalized by mere creation of elaborate structures and periodic elections. Devolutions, to be real and meaningful, demands that local government should be effectively empowered to frame regulations, take decisions, and enforce their will within their legitimate sphere of actions. Such empowerment should be clearly and unambiguously defined by the Constitution and the state legislatures. Even legislated Even legislated empowerment remains illusory unless public servants entrusted with the discharge of the responsibilities under the local government's sphere are fully and permanently under local government control, subject to protection of their service conditions. Only then is the responsibility of the local government commensurate with the authority. Finally, fiscal devolution to the local governments must meet two standards. The local government must be able to effectively fulfill its obligation. There must be sufficient room for flexibility through united resources or untied resources to establish priorities, revise new schemes, and allocate funds. Equally important, there must be both opportunity and incentives to mobilize local resources through local taxes, cess, and user fees, subject to norms of financial property or propriety and accountability. While devolving funds to local government, it needs to be ensured that issues of regional equity, interstate as well as intrastate, and minimum entitlement of citizens across the country The rights guaranteed to citizens under the constitutions and the legitimate expectations of a better life and reasonable opportunity for vertical mobility to all children are similar across the country. Therefore, the devolution package to the local governments must go beyond the per capita norms and should take into account certain benchmarks regarding quality of life and services. Equally important is the building of capacity of local governments to discharge their functional effectivity or their functions effectively. Strengthening organizational and management capacity, constant training and human resource development activities, conversion of state agencies into expert manpower pools, providing guidance and support on demand, strong federations, pooling of resources, talent and management practices, ability to attract expertise available outside government to meet the growing need for high quality human resources in public management are some of the crucial challenges in enhancing the capabilities of local governments. Finally, real empowerment not only demands devolution and capacity building, but strategies also need to be evolved to overcome the resistance of the state executives and governments, as the compulsions of the real politics often preclude the possibility of any serious measures to enable local governments to function as institutions of self governance.